Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. This is my August TBR. So I'm doing things a little bit differently this month in that I am going to be solely focusing on Arc August. That's not to say that if the mood takes me, I won't read something else from my shelf, but my focus for this TBR specifically is going to be Arc August, and I'm going to hopefully be doing some reading vlogs for it as well, but I'm not committing to that because work is crap at the moment basically, so I don't want to promise too much. In case you haven't heard of Arc August, it's kind of what it says on the tin. It was started by my friend Octavia quite a few years ago. I will leave a link to her details down below, but I don't think she is blogging anymore. And the idea of this readathon was to focus on the advanced readers copies on your list or TBR. Try and beat the NetGalley backlog if you have one. So I'm going to be doing two things. First of all, I'm going to be focusing on my August advanced readers copies and probably early September as well, because that makes sense. I need to read them a little bit in advance. And I'm also going to be showing you the books that I have on my physical TBR shelf that I did once receive as ARCs and I haven't read. As you may or may not know, I have been booktubing and book blogging for 13 years now, and I've taken various breaks over those years. So there have been little kind of gaps in my reading where I haven't gotten to the advanced readers copies that I received. And at the start of the year, my goal was to reduce my physical TBR somewhat. I'm still trying with that. I'll have an update on my zero TBR in a couple of weeks' time, I think. And so I figured I would kind of tackle this ARC TBR situation from both sides. I can do my physical TBR ARCs and also my NetGalley ARCs that are still to come out. So I'm going to start with my physical books and then we'll go over my NetGalley TBR for August and September at the end of the video. I do have a lot of physical books to show you. I'm definitely not going to get to all of these, but I wanted to give myself a variety of genres, because if I'm not able to pick from the non-ARCs on my shelf, then I want to give myself enough variety in my TBR as possible so that I don't burn out or get into a reading slump or any of that. So let's get going. I've rambled enough. First of all, I have The Final Strife. I tried to read this in the last couple of months, but I just didn't get around to it. I received this from Harper Voyager as an e-copy and I didn't read it last year. This one is a fantasy book set in a world where the empire is divided by the colour of your blood. I think there are red bloods and blue bloods. And from what I can tell, one group of people kidnapped or obtained someone from the other group and raised them as their own so that she can then go and infiltrate the group of people during the trials that are happening. This is all stuff that I've sort of accumulated in my head because I don't really read synopses for books all that often, but that's my understanding of the basic plot. So I think it sounds really good. I love books about trials, so that's great. What does confuse me is that this synopsis sounds like it should be for the blood trials, which is also on my shelf, but I didn't receive this one as an ARC, so it's not going on my TBR. Yeah, I keep getting confused between the two. So I'm looking forward to reading this one, especially because I'm in a huge fantasy reading mood lately, so this is going to be high on my list. Another fantasy book that I have is Walk on Earth, a Stranger. So I am recording this video about a week before the end of July, so I might have actually already read this by the time you're watching this video. You'll find out in my wrap up, which is going up in a few days. But this one is by Ray Carson, who is an author who I've really enjoyed in the past. I think it's fantasy set in our world and it's about a girl who can discover gold. Yeah, it says she can sense the gold in the world around her, and so people are after her because obviously this is an amazing power to have. Like I said, I have really enjoyed Ray Carson's books in the past, and I received this from the publisher back when it came out from Green Willow Books. So this ARC would be 8 years old. Switching tones a little bit, I have Sanctuary by V.V. James. I'm not entirely sure what this one's about because it's a mystery thriller. All I know is that a detective is trying to figure out how some guy called Dan died, and there are a lot of rumours about his ex-girlfriend. So I think this might have something to do with witches as well. I don't know if it's like real witches with paranormal powers or maybe just people are being accused of being witches. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think it's going to be really good. Another fantasy book I have is A Taste of Gold and Iron. This is a queer fantasy book. I've honestly got no idea what it's about as usual. I just know there are two guys. One seems to be a knight or a soldier and the other is a prince. Is this a bodyguard romance? It might be. I don't know. I'm looking forward to reading this one. This one came out in June last year and I still haven't read it, obviously. I went to the library recently and picked up a few books from there because I didn't want to add to my physical TBR, but these are books that I really want to read. So I have Ithaca by Claire North. This is the story of Penelope, who was married to Odysseus in Greek mythology. Odysseus obviously went on his journey and left Penelope behind, so I think it's about what happened to her when she was kind of flying solo. This does have a sequel coming out this year, and I'm not sure if it's a direct follow-on or not, but I do need to find out because I'd be very interested in this if it is a trilogy, because I love following characters from book to book. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It's got very good reviews, although my previous experience with Claire North's books haven't been great. I also picked up Reaper of Souls, which is the sequel to Kingdom of Souls. It's the second book in the trilogy, and I loved the first book. I think I gave it 4.5 stars if I remember correctly, and then I requested this one and then just never got around to it. Actually, I don't think I actually requested it. I think I'm auto-approved by Harper on EW, and so I picked this one up. Not that that makes it any better, at least the publisher didn't have to like actively approve me for this. I remember loving the ending of the first book in this series, so I'm actually really looking forward to reading this one. I'm gonna have to read a recap on my site Recaptons because I don't remember all of the details and how the magic system works, but I'm very much looking forward to carrying on with this and hopefully finishing it this year. I also picked up the trivia night from the library because I saw it was available there. This is a thriller book focused around the school's, a local school's annual trivia night. It says here that talk turns to partner swapping. Initially scandalised, it's not long before a group of parents make a reckless one-night only pact. In the harsh light of day, those involved must face the fallout of their behaviour. That's not the whole synopsis, but I don't want to read the whole thing because it's a thriller book. Really looking forward to reading this one, it should be fun. I also decided to pick out 3 of the oldest arcs on my TBR. These are from when I first started book blogging, and you know when you go on NetGalley when you first join and you just click request on absolutely everything? That's what I did, and then I started to lose interest in the books that I had been approved for because they just weren't necessarily my kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is focus on these 3 for a specific week of the vlog, of the month, sorry, and do a vlog for them. So first of all, we have Halflings, which I think is about angels. This came out in 2012 during the whole angel phase of YA. It says here that the main character falls under the watchful guardianship of 3 mysterious young men, so there may be a love square, who knows. I do actually know people who really enjoyed this one though, so that's exciting. And then there's also Innocent Darkness, which I think is like a steampunk fantasy sort of thing. There are hoverboards in LA, a fairy queen as well, so I'm not really sure where this would fall, but I'm gonna give it a go. I'm not sure I'm going to like this one, so it might be a DNF. I'm not going in with the highest expectations. And then I've also got the Paladin Prophecy. The back of this one doesn't say anything about it, but I think it's like a sci-fi thriller sort of situation. It just talks about the rules for staying alive on the back, so I can't remember what it's about, but it's actually quite chunky for an older YA book, which is surprising. So yeah, there's those 3. And then I've just got a few more to go from my physical TBR pile. I split these up into fantasy and sci-fi just for ease. I've got Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. I have no idea what this one's about, but I've heard that it's got beautiful writing, so I'm very much looking forward to reading it. I don't really think I need to know anything about it. I've also got Sea of Shadows by Kelly Armstrong, which I bought recently. I've read some books by Kelly Armstrong before and I have quite enjoyed them, and I'm looking forward to reading something that's actually more, what's the word for it, high fantasy, I suppose, that like not set in our world. I'm not very familiar with fantasy terms. Her other books are paranormal romance or urban fantasy, so I'm looking forward to reading this one, especially because it seems a lot darker. It says here that it's set in the Forest of the Dead, where the Empire's worst criminals are exiled. Twins Maria and Ashen are charged with a dangerous task, for they are the keeper and the seeker, and each year they must quiet the enraged souls of the damned. Really excited to see where Kelly Armstrong goes with this. And then I also have Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I think this is the first book in a trilogy about superheroes, like YA superheroes, and I love that. I don't really need to know anything else about it. I've read a book by Marissa Meyer before. I've read her Lunar Chronicles, and I really enjoyed those, so I'm looking forward to getting stuck into this one and maybe finishing off the series soon if I like it. And then we've got the sci-fi section of my TBR, and then we'll move on to my NetGalley ebooks after that. So we have Ocean's Echo, which I started last year when it came out, and I only got about 100 pages in, 77 pages in, and it just wasn't hooking me the same way Winter's Orbit did, but I am going to carry on with this and finish it. I'm probably going to make this one of my first reads of the month. This is about 2 guys who are connected via their minds without their consent, and I think that's the main like theme of the book, and I think they have to try to work out their freedom. I've also got The First Sister. I have no idea what this one's about, but it sounds really good, and I love the covers for this series. I think this is a trilogy and it's all finished now, so again, this is another potential one that I could marathon. First Sister has no name and no voice. Forced to travel the stars alongside the Gean soldiers of Earth and Mars, she has no control over her own destiny. My camera stopped recording as I was talking, so what I was basically saying is I don't know what this one is about, but I think it's gonna be good, and it's a really short book as well, so it might be a really quick read, although the writing is tiny. I've also got Shards of Earth by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This again is the first book in a trilogy, which I think I haven't been picking up because this has been scaring me. I don't like to start new series, really, contrary to what how it may seem. The back here says, 80 years ago, Earth was destroyed by an alien architect. Some escaped, but millions more died. So to protect its colonies, humanity shaped the minds of Idris and others into weapons and sent them into battle. That's what I'm going to read. This is a sci-fi, war, political, space opera, adventure sort of thing. And I already know that I like Adrian Tchaikovsky's writing. I have quite a few of his books as well. So maybe once I've read them, the ones that I own, I can do a video comparing his work. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. And then the last physical book I have is The Last Watch. This one is about people who are trying to save the galaxy or the universe. Yeah, the universe, because it's collapsing. That's all I need to know. It sounds really exciting. It's gotten very, very good reviews so far, and the author has, I think, written 2 books in this series, might be writing a 3rd, and has started a new series as well. So she's got quite a few books for me to read if I do enjoy this one. So looking forward to reading it. Okay, so I'm going to quickly list some of the most exciting August arcs that I have, and I won't go into too much detail, but these are just ones that I'm most looking forward to reading. First of all, we have Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister. This is the author of Wrong Place, Wrong Time, which I loved. I gave it 5 stars. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. It's a thriller, so I'm not going to read the synopsis. We have The Hurricane Blonde, which is about a woman in Hollywood who is killed, and then there are sort of rumours and everything about her death. There's Hellfinder by Paula Stokes. This is some sort of like Indiana Jones-esque situation where the main characters are trying to find some artifacts that are missing. What Still Burns, this tagline says, this is the haunting story of a young woman's return home to face her tragic past, the fire that killed her family, and what remains in the ashes. Sounds very dark. I like it. A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing, which is coming out in August in the UK, but is already out in the US. It's a thriller. I'm not going to read the back. I just love Samantha Downing's books. The Queen of the Valley. This one I think is set in Colombia in 1925. There's been a massive earthquake, and there are 3 strangers who are plunged into a perilous search during an emerging cholera epidemic. So that sounds like a lot, but it sounds really good. I'm really into historical fiction at the moment as well, so I'm looking forward to reading that. The Same Country. This one I think is a contemporary book, kind of general fiction. It says that it's a story about family friendship and the risks we take to unravel the truth. 20 years ago, Joe was shot dead in the bedroom of his white girlfriend. It was deemed an accident, but now his friend Cassie, a journalist, is not so sure. And then finally for August, we have The Phoenix King, which is a fantasy debut by this author. I don't know loads about this one. It just says there's a prophecy, a king, and an assassin. So I'm looking forward to reading it, of course. So that is my massive TBR for August. It was so massive that my camera cut me off. Let me know if there are any of these that I should prioritize, if you've read any of them and loved them, or you just want to hear my opinions. Wish me luck, because this is going to be very challenging for me. But again, like I said, I'm not planning on reading all of these. I'm just hoping to reduce my TBR and raise my NetGalley percentage. Oh, I should tell you what my percentage is. This is gonna be really embarrassing. And then we can see at the end of the month whether I've managed to raise it. Okay, we're currently at 49%, which is better than I thought we were. I think in order to raise this at all, I'm going to have to read almost everything on my TBR to get this above a decent number above 50. I will get back to you when I figure out some sort of goal for this percentage, but my main thing is that I want to read more books on my TBR. This is so embarrassing. Like I said, I'm going to try to do some weekly vlogs. If not, I will definitely do a NetGalley check-in at the end of the month, and we'll go over what I have left and what I'm planning on doing going forward. So for now, happy reading. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.